My name is Maria. I live in a rural area of Iceland. My question is, you have mentioned two types of energy carriers, nuclear and LNG. And if I understood it right, it's about transporting LNG from Russia to use it everywhere. I would like to know, is there any possibility of running these transports on hydrogen and renewable energy, please?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So I mentioned before with that hydrogen and renewable energy, some hydrogen and ammonia further down the road. However, there is a new technology which I didn't talk about in here, which I mentioned in a working session this morning, and you should all be aware of it, called MSR. Molten salt reactor. Yes, it's a mini reactor. For those of you that are physicists, this is the technology which was invented by actually by the USA Navy in the 1950s, but on a mini pack basis. So China took the patent on that in 2011. He and Mr. Trump were fighting tooth and nail who would go first with this, but China launched the first test pattern of this last month, and we had this confirmed in a conference call this morning with Costco. But it's also been approved by Russia. It's been approved by government, by the Korean government, by the Singapore government. And so ultimately, if this is commercialized, there'll be no more fuel used in container shipping, zero, by next decade.
Thank you. Gentleman there in the middle, please.
Thank you. I spoke to you this morning in my quality of French master's student. I would like to speak to you now in my quality of intern at the Arctic Economic Council. To what extent the Arctic Investment Protocol, in its full extent, guides Chinese investments in polar circles, although China is not represented in the Arctic Economic Council, but Russia is, as the current chairman. Thank you very much.
I would like to hand this over to Mr. Jian, but I would have to say that actually COSCO Shipping was participating in the Arctic Economic Council, but that was a couple of years ago, so your information is correct. Mr. Jian, please.
Thank you, Tero. I think for China, I mentioned in my 3-point statement that China carry on the international cooperation with Russia in many fields, even about the infrastructure and also in the energy sector. For us, we want to enhance our cooperation with clean energy in stricter environment protection, and improve by the cooperation. We improve our level of environment protection. I think that will be. That's why I mentioned this. The next 2 years there will be opportunity. We should work together with Russia to Russia adopt the green the guideline for the investment for the new energy production. About that, I think China and the other country outside the Arctic can cooperate with Russia and provide some the green technology to improve of that. I think the adopt a guideline for greener activity in economic activity. That's the very good. For China, if you read China's the Arctic policy, you can see that there's many paragraph that emphasize on the rule-based order, and the second is about the goal-based governance and also capacity-based investment. I think the focus on emphasize the responsibility of environment of Chinese citizen and Chinese environment enterprises there doing any activity, economic activity there in Arctic. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman there on the left, please.
Thank you. My name is Yue Wang and a PhD candidate in Finland. Polar Silk Road is very relevant to my PhD project. I have a question for Director Yang Jian.
So in your presentation, you briefly mentioned Russian chairmanship. So do you think if Russia will kind of, to some extent, promote the further development of Polar Silk Road during Russian chairmanship of Arctic Council? So in other words, you would say maybe, do you notice any changes in Russian government attitude towards Polar Silk Road following increasing involvement, interest of China in the Arctic? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I believe that you are familiar with the interpretation of the Silk Road and the One Belt, One Road. If you read the document, if you read the joint statement by Chinese government and other governments about the Belt and Road, you will understand that that's the joint cooperation. That's what I mean is that when you mention about if you read the Russian-Chinese joint statement, you can find that we have a different the name of about the Arctic region development, and Russian focus on this Northern Sea Route development. In China, we call it the Polar Silk Road. In the other nation have the Northeast Passage development and shipping roads. No matter what is named it, of course, we say that it's good for us to have a different focus on that part of the Silk Road to development. It's okay. That's mentioned this morning. I say even when Korea Russia have their joint development international cooperation. For China, it's very good. It's a facilitate the flow of the goods and the capital and the governance between Europe and Asia. I think that's good. So it doesn't matter what to name it. If I put the strategy, I think is make the things different way.
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are starting to run out of time, so we will make a short conclusion for this. Henry, just quick last remarks before we conclude, please.
Let the data say what it says. Forget what you read in newspapers. That data is real. Exactly. Yeah, precise to the point. So I hope this panel brought you insights of the international funding of the Polar Silk Road, what's happening on the Northern Sea Route also with the Trans-Siberian route and how that is developing within the past couple of years, the big growth which has taken place and it's going to be expected. Thank you very much for the excellent questions, and please join me in applauding the panelists. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my friend.